Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Jimbo's Garage. Well, you know, amongst all the projects I got going on in the shop here all the time, especially right now, always something happening in the shop. But something just came up. I'm going to have to stop what I'm doing and make this little project. I recently had to buy a generator for my one of my work trucks out here for a job, actually two jobs that we are in the process of doing, and I need to get this generator. So I got this thing right here, and I didn't spend a lot of money on this right here. This is just something that we needed in a hurry. And let me get these things down. Got this at Costco. You know, didn't pay a lot of money for it, but hey, it's going to work out perfect for what we need for the next couple jobs, and probably for a long time after that. The problem is with it is it sits right here in the truck in the very corner, and you know, it gobbles up a lot of space that I still could use for storage. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to build a rack for this thing to sit on. So it's actually going to take this, I'm going to raise it up, and so I'll be able to slide stuff underneath and you know, not lose valuable storage space that I need in the truck right here. Probably this thing right here, probably this box of tools right here will slide right underneath this thing, and you know, I'm not sacrificing a lot of space in the truck. Generator's up in the air. I think everything will work out really good. Oops, I jumped the gun. I'm going to get out here a little bit. So right here, the best thing I thought to do is just to make a square type of frame. I'm thinking some 2-inch angle iron and get this thing off the ground. It just so happens I've got some 2-inch by 1/8-inch angle iron right here. Looks like I got about 20 feet of it or so, and you know, 20 feet should be enough to make a frame, top and bottom. This thing will sit on. I'll weld the frame to the truck, and I'll bolt the generator to the frame just in case I have some issues with the generator later. I can unbolt it. But anyway, that's the game plan. So let's get started and let's see what we can come up with. All right, so that 2-inch angle iron is going to work out perfect for this project right here. I'm over here at the Slugger cutoff saw, cutting what I need for length. I'm cutting the 45s right here, and I got to tell you, if you haven't cut 45s with angle iron, I don't know if it's just me, but I had a hard time. I made a lot of mistakes trying to get the angle right and turning the angle iron where it needs to be to get the 45. But kind of frustrating, but I ultimately got it and got all the pieces cut that I needed to get cut. You know, I get a lot of people ask me questions about, you know, what type of blade I use on the cutoff saw. Well, it's a fine cutoff saw, and it is a fine blade that I use, and works really good. And they're about $120, I believe, on Amazon. But I'm over here at the DeWalt Portaband, and now here I'm doing a notch cut for the 90 degrees here. This is for the legs, and so, you know, sometimes I use 45 degree cuts, and sometimes I use these notch cut, and both of them work really well. This is pretty clean, pretty perfect, a little forgiving, so if you're not absolutely perfect, you can always fill it in. We're going to be putting everything together with the HTP 2400 here, and you might see me put on that little tool belt. That is something new that I've been trying to work with. It has side cutters in it for cutting the wire. It's got a little pick for picking out the dross at the end of the nozzle in the MIG gun. I've got some layout tools and a tape measure and stuff that I normally have laying out on my table all the time, and I'm trying to get used to that, and it's working out pretty good for me. So you can see I'm just starting out by putting the frame together and getting the legs tacked into position. And for me, you know, I've learned the hard way. You know, I would say years ago I would have been welding this out fully at this point right here, but you know, like I said, learned the hard way. I'm now tacking everything together and piecing it together and putting it together and tacking it in that way. That way it keeps everything nice and square, nice and true. And once you double check all that, then it's time to weld everything out. And I've been doing that lately, and I haven't had too many issues at all. So especially, you know, you can't do it all the time, but in this situation it works out pretty good. getting everything squared together. And then clamps. This is another thing, you know, you can't have enough clamps. And you can see how I've got this, my table square, so you can see I've got the thing clamped down square, and then tacking it together, and that helps as well. So you can see when I put everything together right here, it just fit perfectly and there was no issues at all. So again, I'm just tacking this into position before I go crazy and weld everything out. Double checking for square just to be sure that everything is nice and plumb and square prior to doing all this, and so far so good. Now this is a project that I literally stopped in the middle of another project I was doing and threw this together in just a matter of probably just a few hours at night. And so I'm getting ready to weld this thing out. You can see I put on my Black Stallion welding leathers right here. This is something that you know, I usually use sleeves, but it was kind of a little cool this night, and this jacket was a good option for me. You know, it's nice. It's nice when you're doing a lot of welding, especially up high or overhead, and not getting sparks on you like I'm used to doing. This was really nice being actually do some welding like this and not have a single spark land on you. So it was comfortable. But anyways, it's all good. And I'm just going around welding every inside, outside. Don't know that I needed to do that, but you know what? I was rolling. The machine was rolling, and hey, I was comfortable, so I just went ahead and just double checked and just welded everything I could, every joint I could possibly see. I don't see there was any harm in that at all. Not to mention, it's always good practice. You know, and then you know, the MIG gun holder, you know, my torch lead right there, it's been really super handy. You know, again, that's something that you probably need to get used to. I've been using it now, and it works perfect. Once you use it, you just don't know how you ever use, you know, get along without it. But I've got several different ones, and using them all now work great. Once I got them all done, it's time to just go ahead and grind the outside ones flat and round the corners off a little bit. And I'm using the Walter Mini PS for this. You know, I've got several Walter grinders. Use them all. This is my favorite right here. It's small, it's lightweight, it's easy to handle. That paddle switch is really a good feature for me. It works really good. And of course, accompany that with their flap disc wheels that are super sharp. Work out really good. Now I'm just putting a coat of paint on this with a rattle can. You know, I'm sure I'm going to get blasted in the comment sections of you guys. You should have primed it, you should have painted it, you should have powder coated it, you should have done all these different things, you know, and I understand. But for me, for what I'm using it for, this is going to work out just fine. You know, just a couple coats of semi-gloss black paint is going to serve its purpose for what I need it for. Got it all completed and painted. There's only one last thing to do, and that's to get it installed. Now, this is the way I bought it out of the box. I put the wheel kit on it, and I put the handle on it. I wasn't certain what I was going to do with it. I've only had this thing for a couple days prior to this right here before I decided I was going to build a rack for it. And now my helper wheel, him and I are just taking all that stuff off that I had just put on the day before. And once we got everything off of there, we don't need any of that on there now since we're going to be putting it in the rack. I got the rack positioned where it needs to be, and I'm just going along with a MIG gun and just putting 2-inch beads each corner inside and out, and you know that's enough that's going to hold it in place. Now, one thing that I learned maybe on this right here, I'm using the MIG gun. You can see the bed is rusty. It's got paint, and then the rack itself's got paint. So I struggle a little bit with the MIG gun burning through all that. Ultimately got it done, but maybe stick welding with a 6011 or 6010 might have been a better option, but that's okay. We were able to get it done right here, and it's not going anywhere. Once we got that done, it's time to drop it into place in a nice tight fit. This is just the way I planned it, and then we're going to drill right through here with some 1/4-inch bolts and lock nuts on the inside. And this thing is not going anywhere. The compressor itself sitting, the motor assembly itself sitting on some rubber grommets, so everything is going to work out really good. Just 4 bolts on each corner is all we need, and this thing is going to be secure in place. I decided to make this thing all tall like I did, so I have plenty of room for storage, and that's what you'll see here in just a minute. We wanted to be able to utilize everything we possibly can, plus get the compressor up off the ground so it's above the gates so it can be used when the gates are up. And this is going to work out really good. And of course, I designed it to put a bucket underneath it and or a box right here you'll see over there that's going to slide right in. So either or, whatever we're using, there's good storage for that. You can see wheel using the generator right there to grind the welds down. There it is with the gates up. You can see it's perfect up above the work area there at eye level, and you can see the box underneath it. Good storage. This is a perfect little project and a good addition to the work truck right here. I like being organized, and that's what we have here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe for more videos.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.